Welcome back, everybody. I'm the Doc Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS, and you're watching Open. Our next guests are from Tenants and Neighbors, and they join us to discuss housing and some of the problems tenants are facing. We welcome the organizers, the operations manager, Wanda Mercado, and tenant organizer, Allie Fischgrund. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us today.
Yes. What are some of the problems that we're facing in our neighborhoods?
Oh, well, the biggest problem that we're facing right now is evictions. You know, we're facing a lot of tenants that are facing evictions. A lot of them are afraid. They don't know what to do. And so at Tenants and Neighbors, we do a lot of counseling and referrals to give them the resources to better assist them on how they can find rent relief programs to be able to help them with their rent to arrears. As you know, because of the pandemics, this pandemic, a lot of people lost their jobs, and a lot still have not received unemployment. So how do you tackle that? How do you help these tenants in a predicament like that? A lot of them are scared to be homeless, to go into shelters. And so it's a scary time. It's a very, very uncomfortable, scary time for folks.
What are some of the things that we are doing to help?
In addition to helping folks apply to the rental assistance program, which we know is fully inadequate, and many people who are in need of rental support do not qualify, in addition to the lack of funds that have been given to this program. So we are also working with the Housing Justice for All Coalition, which is pushing right now to get 3 bills in the state legislature passed, which we believe would really help tenants.
We have to speed this through because we need it now.
It has been going on for...
We're in it right now. We need it now.
Yeah, there's no time to spare, definitely. Yeah. So we're pushing to cancel rent, as you know, that campaign has been going along, and a bill has been proposed in addition to a couple of others that we think would really support tenants.
And how's that working out, this canceling rent? Because a lot of landlords are saying, hey, you know, I need this money, but a lot of people say, well, you need the money, I can't pay it.
Yeah, so the idea is that, so there is a cancel rent bill that we are working on getting passed, and basically it would cancel rent and all rent and mortgage payments, and funds would be prioritized to smaller mom and pop landlords. While we do believe that many of the bigger ones, especially the ones that we work with the tenants of, they do have the funds, but we do want to make sure that no one is slipping through the cracks.
Yeah. What were you guys doing, Wanda? What were you guys doing before the pandemic?
Well, you know, a lot of the tenants call, you know, so as you know, the Rent Guidelines Board that governs rent stabilized tenants in New York City, a lot of tenants were concerned about what that motion was going to be about. As you know, David Weiss is the chair of the Rent Guidelines Board. And so a lot of the calls that we were receiving were based on lease, right? Like, what's going to happen? Are we going to get an increase or a decrease? And that's something that Tenants and Neighbors works closely with the Rent Guidelines Board on how to try to make sure that this motion is fair for tenants before the pandemic, right? So they're calling about, well, my lease expires, you know, before October 1st. And so what happens, right? And so the motion that was passed, which was a bit of relief, was for a 0% increase for 1-year leases, and then the 2-year lease was 0% for the first year, and then the second year will be a 1% increase. I mean, it was a back and forth. It was a struggle for tenants to say, my God, I mean, we're in a pandemic. How could they think about increasing our rent when we barely can't pay our rent now? So that was something closely to the pandemic. This was basically renewals of leases and where tenant stands. You know, some of them were confused. I mean, should we do a 1-year lease? Does it benefit us to do a 2-year lease? Because I'd say to tenants, go what your budget allows you to do. Because at the end of the day, we're not at liberty to tell them which leases that they should be able to sign. but just to make the one that you know that you can afford to renew. So that was a lot of calls that we're receiving with that. A lot of landlord harassment. We get a lot of landlord harassment tenant calls. Landlord not doing repairs. It's the same story, right? Like, what do we do with that? You know, how do we help tenants? You know, what type of resources can we provide them for them to get that relief, right? Like, they're getting repairs done. You know, they're not being harassed by their landlords. You know, a lot of the, leases, landlords try to change the leases. And we know that rent stabilized tenants, the terms and conditions must remain the same. And so that there are little tricks here and there that they try to get over on tenants. And not only that, but then there's a lot of seniors out there that landlords are bribing them to leave their apartment so they can deregulate that apartment. Oh, you've lived here for, some odd years, but, we can give you this and we'll give you $10,000 if you leave the apartment. These people live there all their life. They've been working all their life. They can't leave that apartment to go somewhere else to live. It's too much.
And as I drive around, I see a lot more homeless on the streets. And I see a lot of furniture out in front of places. So people are being moved out. And this is like, it's really, really crazy. They need you guys. We need people like you. So once again, thank you for your service. But what rights do tenants have right now?
So
do they have any new rights? Do they have new rights?
Well, so right now, there has been a lot of talk about the eviction moratoriums. And so right now, their Safe Harbor Act has been passed, which means that no one can be evicted throughout the duration of this pandemic if they have been financially affected by COVID.
Yeah.
But, we're saying that's not enough. There should be no evictions for a year after the pandemic ends as well. So that's another one of the bills that we're working to get passed.
A lot of people love you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't do it without the work of the coalition. There's been over 70 organizations throughout the state that have been working really hard to get these passed, definitely.
Oh, you're working together with a coalition?
Yeah, these bills are all part of the Housing Justice for All coalition.
Oh, great. Who are some of the other people involved in that coalition, do you know?
So in New York, so it's a statewide coalition, but in New York City, Vocal New York is involved with it, Met Council on Housing, CASA in the Bronx. Those are just a few organizations.
Well, I want to thank all of you guys for coming together and helping out with that. I know there's a lot of them. You have a wonderful coalition. What can people do to help at this point?
We have different resources that first thing is that we want to provide resources that are going to work for tenants. Oftentimes we give resources and they don't work. We advise tenants to want to speak up, right? To reach out to their city council members, their state assembly, their state assembly members, their congressperson. It's important. We vote these people in. We want them to hear our voices. We want them to know what's going on. And to reach out to their local elected officials and let them know, listen, we're going through something, that's a quality of life for people. It's going to be a tsunami in the courthouses. And so at the same time, Housing Court Answers, which is at 111 Central Street, they also have a hotline that they have up on their website from Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Is there a website that people can go to? You have all that information up there, Allie?
Yeah, so we have a website, and I also want to add that you should speak with your neighbors, of course, just all the necessary precautions, but you don't want to be in this alone. And I'm sure there are others in your building that are also experiencing similar things. But yes, we do have a website that you can reach out to, and you can also reach us at questions@tnn.org if you have any questions, and we'll make sure to get back to you. Our website is tnn.org, and we post resources on there as well.
Thank you guys so much. Wanda Mercado, Operations Manager, Tenants and Neighbors, and Allie Fischgrund, Tenant Organizer and Tenant and Neighbors. Thank you for all that you guys are doing. We really, really appreciate you, and we need you.
Thank you.
Stay
Thank you so
safe.
much for having us.
us. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe,
Thank
stay
you. You
blessed,
still stay
and
safe
thank you
well.
once again for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, we'll take a break. I've got a whole lot more right here. Keep it right here and open. I've got you covered like a blanket.